Hi, everybody. Today I'm talking about INFJs and conflict. And we're diving deep into that fear and dread that we get when we have to face conflict. I'm going to share with you 3 things that I share with my coaching clients that I have seen have great results with dealing with that fear and dread so that we can face conflict at a constructive level and get through it with less pain, because INFJs hate conflict. So that's what I'm talking about today. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Thank you for finding me. If you're coming back, welcome. I'm glad you came back. My name's Trina Bretnell, and let's get into it. I am an INFJ myself, so I know the struggles INFJs have with lots of things, including conflict. I remember being young, a little tiny INFJ kid, when there was tension going on in the room or there was conflict happening. Like I remember being with my cousins, and if they would start fighting, I would go and hide. I would leave. I'd be like, no, I want to go home now. I'm going home. If it was in my house, I'd go hide, whether I'd climb under a table or I'd go hide behind a couch. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle all those emotions I was feeling. It was just like massive overload. I was so overwhelmed, right? And now, as an adult, we don't really go hide, not like that anyway. We do tend to avoid it. INFJs do tend to avoid conflict because we do not like it, because of the overload, the emotional overload, and because we like harmony. We like harmony. We like keeping people around us happy. It's kind of funny because when I read about INFJs and conflict, because this is a huge issue for us, I kind of have to giggle because lots of times when INFJs are described, I always get the picture of little unicorns bouncing around, spreading like rainbow dust on everybody, keeping everybody around them happy and harmony and playing all this wonderful music. And then when something goes wrong, we're like, oh no, it's disrupting our harmony. You're not happy. We can't do this. No, this is what I have pictured in my head with conflict, because that's almost kind of what it's like, right? Even though we are straight-faced lots and sometimes people find us intimidating, we always want people around us to be happy. We want them to feel comfortable. That's just who we are, right? We're highly empathetic. And that's what we want. So when conflict comes up, it disrupts us, and her body really does go, whoa, what's going on? No, I can't do this. And we'll avoid it. But there comes times when we can't avoid it, and that fear and that dread come up, right? Because we're highly empathetic. We're highly empathetic, and when we have to confront somebody that we're having a conflict, especially if it's a really negative conflict and we're worried it's going to get heated, we're really worried that we're going to hurt their feelings, or we're going to make them feel bad, or they're going to be really uncomfortable around us. That's just to name a few things, right? So fear and dread come up lots because we worry about how we can do this without hurting the other person. We don't like that. Even if those thoughts don't come in word for word, that's basically where that fear and dread come in, because we don't like rocking the boat. We don't like disruption. We don't like all eyes on us. We don't like being the drama queen, per se. I don't like that label, but basically that's what it is, right? But when we avoid conflict, it leads to increased internalized stress and resentment. It can lead to resentment. Now, I did this lots as an adult because I didn't start working on this until just a number of years ago. So most of my adult life, I would avoid conflict. And in one job that I had, the entire job was like a conflict. It was horrible. I hated it. I avoided it. There's some of it, if I would have actually just approached certain people on it, it would have solved a lot of it, but I avoided it. And it really turned into hatred and resentment for that job. And to this day, I have no desire to ever go back to that type of job again. When I think of it, I get massive anxiety going on in my body because it was a toxic place. But a lot of that I could have solved if I would have just faced the conflict, if I had known constructive ways to deal with it, right? So we will avoid it at all costs, right? Because there's not harmony in our life. We like the harmony. So when we're going to deal with conflict, oftentimes INFJs, I know I hear this from my clients lots, we get like that fear, that dread, that anxiety coming up, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk to this person, whatever it may be. Now, because not all conflict is negative. There is some good conflict that's kind of like borderline. Yeah, it could be kind of negative. It could go negative. sometimes that's okay. But when it's negative conflict, when you have to bring something to someone's attention, then you're pretty sure they're not going to like it. But it's really making your life difficult, making your life uncomfortable. That fear, anxiety, stress, like everything just seems to skyrocket because we don't like it. That's really coming out of our comfort zone. And we do not like that at all. Actually, nobody really likes coming out of their comfort zone. It doesn't really matter which personality type you are. You just don't like coming out of your comfort zone, right? It's comfy, it's cozy, it's safe. We've got harmony in our comfort zone. But if there's conflict, we don't have harmony. So the question comes up lots on how do I deal with that fear and dread, that anxiety, those negative emotions that are coming up that I don't like when I have to face conflict? Because as an adult, we have conflict. We have conflict to face in our daily lives. Maybe not daily, but there's going to be times when we have to face it, especially if we want to grow. If it's in our career, maybe in your home life, whatever it may be, we have conflict at certain times that we really do need to face. Instead of just pushing it aside, going and hiding like I did when I was a kid underneath the table and hope it goes away, because it's not going to go away. So I share these three, well, I share more with my clients, but these are three things that I share with them that I've really found they've gotten great traction with it. The word I'm looking for, that's the word I'm going to use, traction. It's really helped them get a grasp on that fear and anxiety about facing conflict. The first one is take time for self-reflection and understanding. So just pause, take some time, understand your emotions that are coming up. Okay, like what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Which triggers do I have? What's going to trigger it? This will help you clearly address what's going on. It's going to help you be able to clearly convey your message to whoever it is that you have the conflict with, right? Especially when you're understanding what's going on inside your body and you can get a grasp on that. So it's going to get out of the way. It's not going to be there blocking. Your emotions aren't going to be there blocking when you confront that certain person. The next one is before facing conflict, I just said contact, before facing conflict, allow time for mindfulness and relaxation. Some deep breathing, so in through your nose, out through your mouth. Breathe out that fear. When you're breathing in, focus on all the positive. I know it sounds a little woo-woo, but it's amazing how this helps. There's actually a breathing exercise that I just discovered not that long ago. And you're probably going to laugh at me when I say it. It's like breathing in for a certain count and then breathing out for a certain count. And when you do, you focus on all the positives when you're breathing in your life, all the good things that you're grateful for. And when you're breathing out, breathe out all that dread, negativity that you have. I can't remember the counting because I do it. I've used it for a couple of years now, but I do it so often that I just do it kind of on autopilot. So I would actually have to do it to count. I think it's like breathing in for the count of 7 or something like that. Anyway, if you search it, you can find it. The next one is positive self-talk. I know, I talk about this all the time, right? Positive self-talk. I talk about it all the time. It is so important, especially for an INFJ, because lots of INFJs tend to be really mean to themselves. But this will help when you're going to face that conflict. Remind yourself of your strengths, such as your empathy. Empathy is a strength, especially when you're going to confront conflict, because you can empathize with the other person. Those I statements. I feel that this is what's going on. That sort of thing. Make it about you instead of about them. Our empathy will come into play with that and make it a lot easier to use those I statements. When we use I statements, this is going back into psychology when I was taking psychology, it's almost like it takes a spotlight off them. So we're not making it about them. We're not coming down on them. When that happens, people automatically take defense, even if we didn't mean for that to happen. So using an I statement erases that, and it kind of makes it about you. So generally, it will spark empathy in the other person as well. I'm just looking at my notes. I don't want to forget anything for you guys. Another strength of ours to remind yourself is our natural ability to find solutions. We're really good at finding unique solutions that are going to work for both parties. If we just allow ourselves time to think and don't get caught up in that tension and that anxiety and that fear, just relax, go back to the mindfulness, relaxation, and allow yourself to think. And you'll come up with some really good ideas for resolutions that you can bring. Remember to have compassion for yourself while you're doing this. I'm going to actually share with you one more that just came to mind. We'll call it a bonus fourth. I should have added this in. This is a really cool one, and it's very powerful. It's reframe your perception about the conflict. So reframe your thoughts about it. Instead of thinking of it as something negative that, oh, this is going to cause tension, they're not going to like it. Think of it as an opportunity for growth and learning. Okay? We love opportunities where we get to grow and we get to learn. View it as an opportunity where you get to learn somebody else's perspective. You get to understand a different perspective. We love that. We love opportunities when we get to expand ourselves. That's what I call it, expand our brain. Learn somebody else's viewpoint. Understand somebody else. Connect with them. We absolutely love it when we get to do that. Our brains are like, oh, this is so good. This is juicy. I'm going to love it. So if we reframe our thoughts about the conflict, instead of thinking of it as negative, think of it as an opportunity to really build a connection with this person, to understand where they're coming from. And maybe when we understand where they're coming from, it's going to open up a whole door of a whole bunch more ideas coming through. Generally, an INFJ brain will get really excited about that opportunity to grow. Mindset shifts are extremely powerful. Extremely. I use them not just in conflict, but lots of other areas in my life. If I don't want to think about a certain situation that's coming up as negative, I'll try to refrain it. A good friend of mine who is also an INFJ, lots of INFJs will struggle with social outings because we just don't like large groups, right? She's an author and she goes on book tours and she's around a lot of people. And she has reframed, having trouble with that word today. She's changed her thoughts about socializing. She's not socializing. She's out there meeting new friends, new opportunities to grow and meet amazing people. And she's just out doing all this socialization and she just loves it. And I love how she has changed her thoughts about that. I find her very inspiring because of that. So it's very powerful. Now give yourself compassion. Have lots of compassion, self-love for yourself when you're working on facing your fears and dreads about conflict, okay? Doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to conquer this overnight. And if you do, that's awesome. I hope that you do. But generally, it's a strength that we got to work on, right? A skill that we have to work on. So have compassion for yourself. Have patience. Think of how long it has been that you have avoided conflict. Like for me, I had to think about, I've avoided conflict like most of my life. It's just been the last few years that I don't avoid it. I will face it if I have to. If it's something that's really disruptive, then I'll face it. So I would have to say probably for 40 years, I avoided it. It's not going to be something that I can fix overnight when I've had 40 years to get really good at avoiding it, right? So have compassion with yourself, a little self-love, patience. It does take time to get really good at facing that conflict and getting a hold of that fear and that dread. But baby step it, one step at a time, and work on it. And eventually it does get a little easier and a little easier. I don't really know if INFJs ever really enjoy facing conflict. Not really, because again, we love harmony. We love harmony and we love keeping people happy around us. That's just who we are. I hope this was helpful. If you found this video helpful, please like my video. And if it feels right for you, subscribe to my channel. Also, I would love it if this was helpful and you shared it with another person. If we could help another INFJ just find who they are, find their purpose, so they can go out there and show the world their true colors and bring joy and harmony to the world. Bring their gifts to the world because the world really needs us right now. Anyway, thank you so much for joining and I hope it was helpful. And I will see you again real soon. Until then, bye-bye.